Here on the program last night with Soledad, taking issue with the Fortune magazine article. I want to read you a statement from Paul Pelletier. He's the attorney for Bill Newell, the special agent in charge of the Phoenix ATF office back at the time of the Fast and Furious program. He says, quote, Bill has given multiple sworn statements to Congress, each of which has been a truthful account of the ATF investigation, and each of which is entirely consistent with the reporting in the Fortune article. Bill has consistently maintained that there was never a plan or tactic to walk guns, that ATF agents seized guns when they were lawfully permitted to do so by the U.S. Attorney's Office, and that to his knowledge, the alleged whistleblowers never raised a concern over so-called gun-walking tactics, and any testimony by them to the contrary would be, in his opinion, false. He's saying the Fortune magazine article is in line with what Agent Newell told the Congress. How do you respond?
Well, I don't care what he told us in that statement. What we're seeking are all of the documents relating to an incident and a plan in which we know, first of all, that the Department of Justice lied to us. They told us they knew nothing about it from February 4th, 2011 for some 11 months, and we have documentation that they knew and kept this from us. And then furthermore, we have subpoenaed documents and asked patiently for 8 months for the rest of the information. I really don't give a hill of beans what's in any magazine article. My job as a representative of the people, when taxpayers' money has been used to develop a plan and to end up with guns being transported into Mexico, given to drug dealers and murderers, and an agent killed, we need to find out all the facts.
But you say you don't give a hill of beans about what's in a magazine article, sir, but what about what the attorney just said? His client worked for the ATF at the time, was the lead agent for the ATF at the time. He says he told Congress things consistent with the magazine article. Do you give a hill of beans about what he told you?
Well, different people have told us different things, including first lies from the Department of Justice. Then Eric Holder told us a different story. And we have magazine article stories that you may want to quote. All I'm interested in as a member of the investigative arm of Congress is getting all of the documents relating to what took place, holding people accountable, making certain that, again, the pleas of even the Terry family who lost their loved one in this botched scheme cooked up by the Department of Justice at taxpayers' expense, that people are held accountable, period. What can't you understand about that? This is, and we had many Democrats support us today in our effort. This is a simple right of Congress. We fund that activity of the Department of Justice. We created the Department of Justice, and we have an oversight responsibility. And to have the Attorney General make a comment like that is an insult to this whole process. And I called before for his resignation, and I think he should step down immediately. The shame and disgrace he's brought to that agency.
You are correct when you say the Justice Department initially said it had no knowledge of this, but the Attorney General later did acknowledge the existence of so-called gun walking, saying last November, quote, any instance of so-called gun walking is unacceptable. Regrettably, this tactic was used as part of Fast and Furious. Now, according to that article, there was one instance of gun walking, but it insists only one. Are you willing to give the Attorney General the benefit of the doubt that perhaps what happened only once and no more?
Absolutely not. This is why we're doing this, is trying to get the documents that have the evidence of who did what, who's responsible. This is a fundamental right of the investigative arm of the House of Representatives. That's the Committee on Investigations and Oversight. And for him to thwart it in this matter is a disgrace to his office. Today he disgraced the office and forced this vote by not complying. I said on the floor, he has been in contempt, he is in contempt, and he has contempt for the people of the United States and the Department of Justice by his actions today.
Congressman Mica, you've suggested several times that you believe the Obama administration may have been using Fast and Furious as an excuse to crack down on the rights of gun owners inside the United States. A lot of people say that's an unfounded conspiracy theory, but you've doubled down in recent days. What is your evidence, sir?
Well, first, just go back. I mean, the great thing is you can Google now or just go on the Internet and search and look at the administration. Their whole theory, their whole plan was that the violence in Mexico was due to weapons, United States weapons getting into Mexico. That is a completely bogus argument. I chaired Criminal Justice and Drug Policy subcommittee, and I know what went on. There's corruption from one end of Mexico to the other. There's drug trafficking, there's murders, there's gangs, and the next thing they'll be asking us to do is ban knives, because now they resort to decapitation of their victims.
But you say that you don't believe their theory, but when have they asked the Congress? What gun law has the administration sent up to Congress?
Well, again, I'm talking about the very beginning and how this tried to come down.
But you say they're trying to undermine the gun rights of gun owners in the United States. To undermine or take back gun rights, they would have to introduce legislation, would they not?
Yes, and what they were trying to do is set the premise. First, they said that the violence in Mexico was due to guns coming from the United States. Little did we know that they were actually being supplied by the Department of Justice in a scheme that the taxpayers of the United States were funding, and would end up killing our agent, Brian Terry, and hundreds of Mexicans. So, yes, they laid the groundwork for this, and the whole thing backfired. But it's pretty sad. This is a very sad day. We didn't want to do this. We asked. We could have stopped this whole proceeding if the Attorney General had replied with a request from our lawful subpoenas that were delivered to him.
And so where does it go from now? He's been held in contempt by the House of Representatives, which may be a public embarrassment to him. You heard his defiant statement coming back to you. But where does it go from now? You don't still have your documents. Will there be any effort to work that out?
Well, there's two things that passed. He was held in contempt on a civil charge. He was held in contempt also on a criminal charge. He interfered and is interfering with a lawful investigation of the Investigative Committee of Congress. He, again, is standing in the way of our pursuing what took place in criminal actions. We know there were criminal actions. People were killed, including a federal agent. So we will continue to use every lawful means, every process, due process. He's entitled to due process, and maybe he is totally innocent. Maybe he has no responsibility or knowledge of what went on. His statements in that regard, though, are conflicting, from denying in the beginning and then telling us, oh, yeah, we knew about it, but we had to lie to you. So we will pursue this to the nth degree, and that's our responsibility.
Congressman John Mica, appreciate your time tonight, sir.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Coming up here, a new move by police as WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange tries to fight extradition in his alleged sexual assault case. The latest on that next.